can't I hear anything?
Lisette, you're muted.
Lisette, you are definitely muted.
Hey, I am so sorry. Hi, everybody. Welcome to My Perspective Mondays. Let's say hi to the cast. I'm Lisette. So glad you can make it tonight. And we got a very another hot topic tonight. We're talking about this great topic. But before I do, I just want to let you know to please remember that you're welcome and more than welcome to click on to live chat and chat with us. Tell us your thoughts and your comments, ask your questions, and we definitely will share them with everyone else and with our cast here. And you know what? Tonight we're going to be talking about should religion be brought back to public schools? But first, I need to, it's kind of interesting because with all the, the chaos of the terrorist attacks and the gun violence and the gangs and all type of bullying, should religion come back to our public schools? And what do we mean by religion? All right.
Well,
Anybody got anything to say about that?
I want to start in response to what you just said. If we were to bring it back, it wouldn't be because of any of those things, because those stuff that was happening even when there was religion in school. So I don't think that's gonna stop any of that anyway. Hell, there's people bullied in church. But in terms of what religion, I know in America that when they talk about this topic, they're basically talking about Christianity. They're not talking about being a Muslim or being Jewish or any of that. We're talking about Christianity. My definitive answer to that is always going to be no. Not anything against Christianity, but here's two things. One, everybody that goes to a public school is not Christian. That's number one. And then number two, if you want your child to go to a school that teaches Christianity, fork up a little money because there's private schools that do that. That's my answer to that. And again, it's nothing against Christianity. It's just that a lot of people fail to realize everyone that goes to that public school is not Christian. And the public school's service is to the public of that community.
All right. What about you, Jay?
Personally, I'm going to agree with Keone because sometimes religion can get in the way of actually learning what you're supposed to be getting out of your schooling. Because I had a teacher at one point in time, he had his religious views, but you're a science teacher is the thing. We tried to ask him a certain question and he refused to answer it because of his religious views.
Interesting.
What? Wait. You gotta give me some explanation on that.
I will give you the example, but I'm not name dropping. We asked him whether or not evolution, as it predated, whether or not people evolved from monkeys, and he said people did not evolve from monkeys. People came from Adam and Eve.
Okay, I get. See, that's the thing where, what do we want to teach in the school? Are we we're learning science in school, and then religious beliefs, depending on what religious background you can come in total conflict. And now you've got a teacher-student argument going on in the class, which disrupts the learning of everyone in that class. I'm very interested to hear Mark's answer to this because he's not a high school or, I don't know, Mark, have you ever taught at the high school level? You've always been a college professor.
No.
Okay.
Always college. And Keone made some very good points. And that very often we do talk about, this is usually brought up by Christians, talking about putting Christianity back in schools. But I don't like what we do now. And first off, Jay, I think you just had a bad teacher. I mean, there are plenty of Christian teachers who teach science.
Yeah.
And occasionally, what they have to teach may conflict with their religious beliefs. I think as long as you're upfront about that, okay. But what we have now, and what we've gradually evolved to in the past 50 years or so, is really atheism. So we're promoting atheism in schools, and I think there should be some balance. I think there's a way not so much to teach religion in schools as it is to allow religion in schools. I mean, there are very few books that we ban nowadays, but religious text happen to be one of them. And yet it's okay to do a book report on Harry Potter, but it's not okay to do a book report on some religious text. So I grew up in the South. It was a different time and a different environment. And I was raised like in the third grade. I learned the 23rd Psalm, the Lord's Prayer, et cetera, et cetera. All right. And I think, okay, that was good. But now, what if that were a Muslim teacher and she were requiring us to stand up and memorize passages of the Quran? Now, would my parents have liked that? No. So I do get the argument that we used to talk about just one religion in this country, and this probably never was the case where there's just one religion. That definitely is not the case now. But I think we should get away from effectively promoting atheism in schools and at least allow people to exercise their religion in schools. But you get down into the weeds, it gets pretty tricky as far as how you allow that.
Well,
got
you
a whole lot of
say
what I was
it,
saying
you
next
say it doesn't, but I think I can't remember the exact stat, but there's been a Jewish vice president. Every president we've had has been Christian. I think one was Catholic or something, but but you brought up the point of Harry. We could, and I really that argument does annoy me, Mark. It's not against you. We could do a book report on Harry Potter, but we can't do. Well, come on, look. Religious people always use that Harry Potter argument, okay, or Lord.
I'll use some others then. I mean, but why ban any book? Why not?
Well, I know why it's banned, because people don't fight over Harry Potter. People don't start wars over Harry Potter. No, you know what I mean. I don't mean we don't. The book is better than the movie, that kind of argument. But you might have a bully that might beat you up because you're reading Harry Potter. That's not what I'm saying. I get that. But you will have outright disputes when you have people of different religious backgrounds having to share a classroom and you're only teaching one religion. Or what do? Do you make a special class session for each religion? Now we're getting far away from the curriculum of the school. And people will always say, like, well, when they taught religion in school, the world was better. That's like every generation.
I don't agree with that. No.
I know you don't, but I'm saying the common folk, that's what they'll always say. I'm like, no knuckleheads came from your school that taught religion. Like, really? Everybody was a saint and everything was great back then.
You're right.
What about you, Leah?
So about the topic, like what Keone was saying, that it's gonna be difficult, especially because we're talking like if we're gonna just bring one religion back to school, or we're gonna bring all religion back to school. Because if we do bring all religion back to school, like how are you gonna incorporate that into your school time? Because when you're coming to school, you're coming to learn about your main curricula, like math, those stuff. You don't have time to come to school and learn on your religion, your beliefs. I mean, you can do that at home. I feel like it shouldn't be that bad.
I can't go with that, because we're not talking about religion taking over the curriculum. We're talking about simply allowing people to read religious material. Don't ask me to define what is. I'm not talking about just the Bible, or just exercise or express their religious views. And I said, bring them all back. And you're not gonna knock off math and science and English and everything else just to study religion. I know that, but I just think that we're doing a disservice to ourselves by pretending religion doesn't exist when it's part of who we are. But
you're allowed to have them in. I was allowed to have a Bible in school if I wanted to have it. I just didn't openly take it out in class and start reading from it.
Well, you can have it. I mean, but I mean, as far as I'm not talking about teaching it so much as and making it a required course or anything like that. But I think religion is just a part of who we are, and I'm not advocating bringing mandatory prayers back in schools, anything like that. I just think that I think we've gone a bit too far the other way when it comes to what really is effectively banning religion from public schools. We've violated First Amendment rights in the name of protecting First Amendment rights.
Well, I don't think people are arguing the banning of the book, and I think what you said, like you just said, I'm not talking about teaching it. I think when we have this discussion, that's what most people are talking about, teaching it in the school. That's why me and Leah said that, because that's what most people are talking about when they bring up this topic. It's actually actively teaching it in school.
Yeah.
But sometimes people are talking about having prayer in school. How do you feel about that, Catherine?
Well, first I want to say, what school has allowed anybody to do a book report on Harry Potter? We were given a list of books and told, this is what you got to do your report on.
That may be your experience, but there have been tons of book reports on Harry Potter. And I don't want to pick on Harry Potter now. I mean, And there are lots of other books out there that kids maybe should or shouldn't read. So that's just what I heard that example yesterday. That's why it's fresh in my mind. Is all. But yeah, they're doing book reports on all sorts of books.
From my
Find a book
experience,
like Billy
it's been
Graham or something.
just a specific list, which has
Hey, they find reasons too. In my history class, we talked about we had a whole semester on ancient wars and battle tactics, and we had a whole section on battles of the Bible, and so we broke down military wars and fights in the Bible, like the city of Jericho, and a whole bunch of other things. We talked about that. I think teachers find a way to incorporate it. We just don't do the praying, and we just don't do that in school, and we just don't have a curriculum that says teach this specific religion. Again, that's what I think most people are talking about when they say, Mark, I'm more aligned with you. It sounds like we're disagreeing with telling someone they can't have their Quran with them or their Bible with them is one thing, but teaching it or having special things for that, like I said, there's private schools for that. You can go to that school and get all your fills 24 hours in a day. You got plenty of time to get it in. I just feel like at that public school system, because there's so many people of different ilk that, I mean, what do you know how many religions there are?
Oh no, I don't.
And then you have the denominations within one religion.
Exactly.
You've got Christians, you've got Catholics, you've got Protestants, it's so much. Then everybody's going to have a voice. What do the Wiccans get to do? You can't leave the Wiccans out. You can't leave voodoo out. You can't leave. There are so many things. How are you going to get everyone satisfied? And so what happened is they said, you know what? We can't satisfy everybody in this department. Get it out of here.
Well, John, and it is when you get down into the weeds and talk about exactly how to do this, I realize that things do get very complicated. Yeah. And I'm not talking about requiring. I mean, when I was in high school, English was the course where the Old Testament, New Testament were taught. They were taught as literature, but it was an elective, and if you didn't want to take it, you didn't have to. And so I think there are ways to incorporate it and allow it, but not mandate it. I think the people that are afraid their kids are going to be converted to another religion or to a certain religion they don't like, I think that fear is more overblown than the Christians' phobia about getting it back in there and making everybody pray every day. I think they're both overwrought. I think there's a way to do it. It's just but
I think it's kind of hard. I personally I do pray. And I am a Christian. I don't think that I don't think we should make it mandatory for prayer to be discussed or prayed in school as a corporate, embodiment, of the students. The reason being is because when Christ was, he said, don't do like the Pharisees do, try to, make a show of it. I feel like this, the light, if you let your light shine, people are going to be drawn to the light. You don't have to force your religion on anyone, nor have I tried to force my religion on anyone. At the same time, I just like you're saying, all these religions, it's going to be hard to do that in a school. If you want your child to pray, let your child pray at home with you before he leaves out. Let him pray home. And if he wants to pray while he's in school, hey, I can find me a way to pray. I'll be praying to myself. And that, they may never know. I don't have to say it out loud for everybody to know that I'm praying. Yes, I believe that, that schools have gotten way over on the other side, and I feel like if Harry Potter can be on a book report, then I believe you can do a book report about
terrible example. It's such a terrible example that we keep using that. It's just.
I'm sorry I brought it up. I didn't mean no.
Anytime, what really killed me when Harry Potter the movies came out and everybody was running around. We're teaching evil. I'm like, have you ever read Harry Potter? The whole purpose of Harry Potter, just like almost all fantasy books, is good triumphing over evil. What a terrible thing to talk about.
All right, John, let me throw another example, okay? And this will get Keone's goat here. All right.
God.
How many people had to do book reports or had to read Mark Twain?
I did it. I didn't. I had to do with Mice and Men and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
But Mark, a lot of people find the Mark Twain books very offensive too.
They don't do Mark Twain anymore, Mark. That was when you.
It hadn't been that long ago. I mean, but I did. I read of Mice and Men, and you said the cuckoo. I didn't do the Cuckoo's Nest in school, but
Well, one problem you would have, you know what? At first, when you said make it an elective, I was like, you know what? That's a good way. But then here comes that budgeting thing, because now all the different teachers you're going to have to hire to teach all of those religions.
Yeah, I get that.
We know what's going to happen if we bring it back. Like the big three are going to get in, and everybody else is going to be left out.
You may have a point. I mean, and I realize that like I said, the Wiccans, the pantheism people, and a lot of religions I've never even heard of. Say if you're a Mormon in a predominantly non-Mormon school, and on the other hand, if you live in Utah, you're not a Mormon. Well, where are you going to be? So I do try to be sensitive to that. I just think they're if we can be innovate in certain areas, I think there's a way to do it. And you won't please everybody. I understand that. But just to say that pretend that it doesn't exist and pretend that we're all atheists. Well, yeah, okay, it's okay if you do it at home, but you don't do it at school. That doesn't really jive with me.
I didn't see that when I was high school. Maybe you had a different experience, but no one was telling us that it doesn't exist and pretend that you're atheist. We just said we don't do it in school. People would be. I saw people, whether they're Muslim, practicing a religion at recess during lunch. I saw people sitting at tables reading. Because I had a friend who was a devout Christian, and he would sit at lunch and he'd read his Bible, ignore everybody every time, and no one ever came and snatched it from him. It was just we weren't teaching it. But I never had the experience of someone saying, you can't do anything in school and all religions are fake. But
now,
a good point is, this is why, from my personal experience, this is why I don't like having religion in school. I had a very good friend named Martin, and he was an awesome kid. And I literally had a teacher that got angry because I was always hanging out with him and said, why are you always, because no one was friends with Martin. Martin would sit in the corner, and I was that guy that would go find the kid sitting in the corner and be friends with them. He said, Martin is Hindu. You don't need to be friends with him. He's a child. Yeah, but that happened. And that's why I don't, because when you allow people to, especially adults in authority who you can't really do anything against, to push their beliefs or make you do certain things because of their belief as opposed to everybody else, it gets very tricky. Good
points.
Yeah, every professor is not a Mark.
Right.
Thank the Lord.
when I was in school,
I should have said that.
When I was in school, I know you said something, Keone, how you said that, nobody, tried to stop them from doing, the young man, for reading his Bible. When I was in junior high, we had like a little group, because if you got some fellow Christians at school, sometimes they all flock together, hang around together. So he was out, this particular young man was out there, sharing the, doing, I think it was during lunchtime or something. He had his Bible and he was, doing like a little speech or something. And people began to gather, and the principal came and knocked him down. I mean, he knocked him down. He said, we don't do that here, and I said, wow. I mean, like, wow. I mean, he didn't tell anybody to gather around him, and whoever gathered was one that wanted to listen, so it just depends,
I get that though. Cause like Mark was saying, if you're not a Mormon in a Mormon town, how does that, like, for instance, Martin was sitting in the corner because of that. So how do I feel if I'm a Muslim kid or I'm Hindu or whatever other religion, and I'm sitting there and there's a group of kids actively participating in their religion and talking and shouting it, and I'm just left out? And some people say, well, become Christian. And then it's that too. It's like, I'm just trying to look on how it affects everybody and not just the people who want to. And that's why, again, I always say, hey, if you feel that strong about it, Send them. My sister sent her kids to a private school that was very religious. You know, she's a single mom with 4 kids. She ate the bullet, you know, and sent them,
Wow.
you know.
Wow.
Well,
You know,
it's very unfortunate, that religion is one of those things, probably more than anything else, even more so than say race and politics, and that sometimes they get intertwined. I think more people have been killed in the name of religion than anything else throughout history. In fact, now let's get biblical here for a second. If we believe the literal biblical account, the book of Genesis, the very first murder was committed in the name of religion. One guy was jealous of another guy's relationship with God, so he killed him. So the religious rivalry is nothing new. Religious violence is nothing new. And I agree. There are no easy answers here. So I don't pretend to have them all. And I don't put me in charge of the school's curriculum. But well, of course, we're just talking my perspective, as you say. And I think there may be better ways is all.
Well, the one good thing is look how we're talking about it. Catherine, can you agree that it's easier to discuss like a topic when people are just talking? Like no one's yelling at each other. No one's saying, well, that's stupid. No one's doing any of that. And I feel like that's what's going to happen when you have, we've seen what happens when, I just feel like that's what's going to happen. How do you think, because Catherine, you're the only one here that's in high school, right?
Mm-hmm. I think.
How do you, yeah, you are. How do you feel that would affect like you speaking personally from your experience in school? Because we're all speaking from our experience when we were in high school. And it's not the same anymore. So how do you feel about that?
I disagree with the statement. I can't remember who said it, but that schools are like have an atheist form of like teaching nowadays. I don't know what it was like, obviously, like the difference between what it was like back then to compared to now.
And I said that, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So you disagree with a university professor. I just want you to know that, all right?
Hey, Catherine, just don't go to ECU and you've got it made. Because if you go to ECU, he's going to be looking for you.
No, but I feel like there have definitely been kids that have. I feel like here's the issue when it comes to like kids in school and religion is sometimes they repeat what their parents think.
Mm-hmm.
And
Always.
don't really get to form their their own opinions. And I also have had experiences with certain kids like very sheltered by their religion. So when they come to like high school or meet different people, they say things that offend other people and then don't understand how or why it's offensive. And like I have had definitely issues with kids coming up and saying things and it being like a what kind of moment.
Yeah.
But I've never experienced somebody being bullied for their religion. Like if you want to, I don't know, I feel like my generation is very much like, if you want to, at least me and my friends are very much like, if you want to practice any of your, like, feel free, just don't be pushing it on people. Because I have friends who are atheists, friends that are Christian, friends, all different like religions. And I don't know, I was raised in a household with 2 religions. So I had that kind of experience of not being put into a box of this is what my parents believe. And so this is what the path that I should go down. So I feel like me and a lot of my friends are very open to learning about new religions and learning other people's perspectives.
That is so funny. Almost every friend that I have that had 2 parents that are on 2 different religions, they always end up more understanding about religion. It's funny how that happens. And guys, we're going to get to Weenie's weekly market update when Lisette announces it in about 4 minutes. And then we're going to read, because we got a lot of comments. So Lisette's, she's the host, so she's going to introduce that. But I'm going to read, we're going to read some of the comments because we've got a lot of them.
Keone, question.
What? And we got some people saying, yes, definitely bring religions back in school. And like I said, because it sounds like I'm against it, which I am, but the 4 part I'm in is if you can find a way to get them all in, then go ahead and do it. Because a lot of people that are yelling, get religion back in school, are mostly Christian, and we can't have just one religion being the predominant force in a public school that serves people of multiple religions.
Absolutely
Right.
agree. I agree.
And
That's
but you
my-
know, go ahead on Jay.
So, can we talk about the duality of it, however, the oppression of expression through expression?
Yeah, you go ahead and
Alright.
bring it down for us, Cat and Jay.
I just know duality means two. Other than that, I'm not sure what he meant.
Yeah, you
So-
stuck the 2 times master degree and the college professor. So go ahead.
That in of itself, with you expressing yourself based off of what you believe, how you can basically oppress somebody else based off of how they feel. Because in my experience, I've had this one situation where 2 of my friends were in a relationship, both of them were males in school. Nobody cared. You're minding your own business, living your life how you feel. But one teacher decided to separate them, and one of my friends decided to ask her about it, like, hey, what's your issue with this? The first thing that she said was, go ask your pastor about why it's wrong.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
So that's you. Okay, I get it. That's you speaking from, again, a lot of us were speaking from personal experience. I mean, what else do you have to speak for? I tend to like to speak in general terms. I try not to say what I've experienced. I'll give examples of what I experienced, but in mass, I'm talking about what I've experienced from other people or what I've seen from other people, because again, our own experience is so small compared to the big scheme of things. So it's just one of those things. And every time I think of Martin, that's what I think of. The little Hindu kid sitting in the corner in a room where everybody else was Christian except for him. And
So what are some more things that the people saying, Keone?
well, we'll get to these comments after you announce Weenie's weekly. I'm not gonna say it because it's your tongue twister.
Well, it's time for our Weenie weekly market update. All right. Bring it on,
So
Weenie.
Alrighty, hello, and welcome to Weenie's Weekly Market Update, where I tell you what happened in the markets last week, what I'm looking for in the markets this week, and then a few trading and investing tips along the way. So, as a quick recap of the last 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago, we had a positive reaction to inflation data. So the markets were really pushing higher. And whenever I say markets, I have the SPY pulled up. This is the S&P 500, the top 500 largest companies in the United States. And that usually tracks most 401ks. So if you have a job, you've invested in a 401k, you've got 401k matches, this is a chart of the S&P 500. And basically every single candlestick, each of these little bars over here, represents 1 day of price action. So we're looking at a daily time frame on the SPY. And so basically, we were talking about the example of markets need to breathe in and breathe out. So again, when we breathe in, we're starting to pull back. Markets move in wave type patterns. There's advanced wave type patterns like Elliott wave, but just think of waves. So we breathe in, we breathe out. We breathe in, we breathe out. But sometimes when you just go sideways in a market, that usually means, hey, we're about to launch pad in that same direction. So if our initial move was up and then we go sideways, we're likely going to go up again. If we move down first and then we go sideways, the next move is likely going to be down. So that's what happened in the markets. We went sideways, moved up off of positive inflation data. And yesterday, or I guess it was last week I was saying, hey, I'm looking for the markets to pull back, meaning SPY said, I need air. I need to take a breath in. So it took a breath in. And I was actually showing you guys some ways to actually profit off of this, or at least hedge your long-term portfolios, which we'll actually kind of talk about in a bit. But I talked about SPXS, and this is an inverse ETF. So I'm actually going to pull up 2 charts over here. I'm going to put up SPXS on the left and SPY, remember the 401ks, on the right. Can you see how the charts are inversed over here? Can you see how the charts are kind of upside down? So remember, this goes up when SPY goes down. And it's a 3 times levered ETF, which means there can be a little bit of decay. So what does that really mean? Well, look, SPXS, when I was talking about buying it, it's up 13% in just a week. S&P is down about 4.5%. It's a triple levered ETF. So basically what that means is SPY goes up 1%. This goes down 3%. If SPY goes down 1%, the inverse ETF goes up 3%. So again, if you are like nervous about the markets, or you've got a big 401k and you're kind of nervous about it, if you sell, and again, I'm not your tax professional, I'm not going to tell you what to buy or what to sell or the tax implications that come with that, but you can start to buy things like this, these inverse ETFs, so that it kind of like locks your 401k where it's at, because this will go up if your 401k drops. If your 401k drops, though, this will go down. So just a quick reminder that there's lots of ways to profit and trade into the markets. And there's a lot of talks about, recession. I'm just going to say that fundamentally, we've kind of been in a recession since February. So we're kind of in the heat of it. So you're kind of experiencing the worst of it right now. So some people say, oh, it's really bad. Some people are like, oh, I don't even feel it. It's completely individual type of thing. But if we're talking about recessions, the market can, start to sell off just a little bit more. In terms of seasons of the market tends to not perform very well during the spooky season, as we call it. So October, think of Halloween. Markets generally don't perform as well. Does it mean that the market is going to sell off? No, nothing is guaranteed in the market, which is why we always need to manage our risk. There's a lot of stocks this last week that really went crazy. BBBY, or Bed Bath & Beyond, went absolutely insane last week. So it went all the way up from $4.38 a share, all the way up to $29 a share. So if you put in $5, you got out $29. The thing is, you can put in as much as you want. You can buy 100 shares. So now you're putting in $400 about, and that $400 is turning into $3,000. So these moves are insane. It's highly speculative and very dangerous. And what happens is if you chase and you buy when we're breathing out, as we talked about last week, you can end up losing lots of money. Let's say you bought, 100 shares at $25 a share. You spent $2,500. That $2,500 is now only worth $900. So basically, lots of risk in the market. And this type of speculation is going to wipe out a lot of traders. And a quick trading tip for you guys, or even investing tip, is you want to manage your losses, meaning it's okay to have small losses. It's okay to have small wins. It's okay to have medium losses. It's okay to have medium wins. It's great to have big wins, but it's not okay to have big losses. That's our number one job as investors and traders, is to manage our risk. We want to always think about the downside before the upside in everything that we're doing. So again, it was a really good trading day for me today because I was able to manage my risk and allow myself to have a big win. That's how I stay in the game for a long period of time. I have small wins, small losses, medium wins, medium losses, but I always eliminate the big losses and allow myself to have big wins. So that's a quick trading tip, risk management tip. So in terms of just short-term stuff like this week for your 401ks, it's probably just going to be going sideways. It's going to digest the big down move that we had in the last 2 days. Again, these last 2 days have wiped out 2 weeks of upside movement. So again, stocks, take the escalator up, but they can take the elevator down. They can just absolutely tank. And so, in terms of September to October, the most likely scenario at this point in time is that the market sells off a bit more. I'm not going to predict or expect some sort of crash or anything like that. But, some selling is likely to continue over the next few weeks and months. And of course, anything can happen and change from that point in the future. I don't think that, the SPY is the best to invest in, though. Meaning, I think that in terms of stocks, you want to be just good at that medium to short-term type of trading stuff. I don't think that over the next 10 years, stocks and ETFs are going to yield you lots of money. So I'd say instead of investing in the S&P 500, invest in the SNME 500. Okay. So invest in yourself. And if you're ever curious about market hedges to lock anything in, any 401k, you can check out things like SDS, SPXS, and just know your risk tolerance, ask questions, don't jump into the market unless you know what you're doing. Let's get back to the conversation. Let's get back to the conversation. If you guys have any questions about this, I do offer a Weenie Trades course, stuff like that. You know, people are investing in it. They're loving it. They're telling me today how they're able to make so much money from the market dropping, and they're just very happy. But of course, come check out the live streams. Keone comes on Monday if you want to say hi. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Let's get back to the conversation. I'm really excited for it.
And you're live.
Thank you so much, Weenie. I mean, I really appreciate those weekly updates, you know, because the 401 information is something that I really, really appreciate you talking about tonight. And now we're going to get back to the conversation. You know, I was thinking how that sometimes we have religion even in our court systems where you have to go put your hand on the Bible, you know, to whether or not you plead, you know, tell your testimony and stuff. And then sometimes you can say, no, I don't want to do it. That's fine. But to be able to have the Bible in the courtroom, maybe people are thinking, well, since you got the Bible in the courtroom,
they don't do that. No, they don't do that in a lot of places anymore.
But even in that, maybe
Right.
some people are saying, well, why, you know, well, maybe we need to establish everything on the Christianity religion since, hey, it's in a lot of our.
Well, the reason why they don't do that in a lot of places anymore is like, I remember somebody made a joke when President Obama was being inaugurated. They're like, is he going to put his hand on the Quran? And I think it was Steve Harvey. Somebody made the joke was, who cares? People put their hand on everything in life. It might as well be a coloring book. How many people?
Didn't somebody get sworn in on an encyclopedia?
How many people have put their hand on a Bible in court and raised their hand and told a bold-faced lie? You know?
Mark, wasn't that a thing?
You don't do the Bible anymore, but you do very often have to swear to God. So help you God.
Yeah, they do that in a lot, but there's still some places they don't do that anymore.
Right.
But I get what you're saying, Lisette. I'm just telling you why they don't do it in a lot of places anymore. Because again, we're starting to respect other people's religion. And so we can't make everyone, I'm Christian by trade. I always say that. I was born into Christianity. You know, I wasn't born in India or anywhere else. I was born here.
You're born in Miami, though, right?
Yep.
You're born in Miami?
Yeah. I
don't know.
What are you? Get out of here. Get out of here. Okay. But we have to get to a point where you don't have to be in anyone else's religion. You don't have, but be understanding and respectful of other people's religion. You know?
It seems like to me you need to be understanding and respectful to just people. I mean, because, you know, in other words, a lot of this stuff that we want done at school need to be taught at home. You know what I'm saying? How to be respectful, how to love people, how to stop trying to bully people. You know, some stuff you just can't, you know, if it's not in their heart, they're not going to do it anyway. I mean, you know, parents, I believe some parents need to stop being lazy and teach all this stuff at home, you know, and stop trying to put it out on the school system to teach your little Mark or your little Samantha how to be nice and respectable to people.
Or you're Leah or you're Catherine.
Or, you need, we put that burden on teachers. And I don't think it's fair, even though they will take some part in that, but you need to start that stuff at home, you know, and as far as you know, I just don't think you need to flaunt. I don't think you necessarily have to flaunt, you know, what your beliefs, so to say, believe what you believe. You got a right to believe what you believe, but I don't think it's fair to put that on other people. If they like what you got, they're going to come on over there.
Catherine,
come over there. That's the way I see them.
Catherine or Alita, do you think it's fair? My biggest problem is when people will say that as if religion's going to solve all the problems. The problems are we don't have religion in school anymore. And so do you think that's going to solve the problems that are going on in school or in the community because you bring religion into the public school? Do you think that's going to stop all the problems that are happening in there? And why?
No.
Okay, so that's one argument that you'll get. Well, the way things are going now is because there's no religion in school, and I'm like, people were being bullied when there was religion in school.
Yeah.
You know, there were school
Yeah,
shootings.
because I know-
Yeah, go ahead.
Because because when I was young, I was in a
You're
was a
still young. What are you talking about?
but I mean, like as a little kid. I mean, I was in a Christian academy school, so all we did was learn about Christianity. And people that my classmates now, they're not even Christians anymore, or even were good Christians in the Christian school. So I mean, like, I was saying, like, if you like just having like religion in school, not gonna really change nothing because the world's gonna be.
Oh, I agree.
I don't want to call the school out, but when I got my sister, I had my nephew when he was 15, and his mom asked if he could go to a religious school, a private school, but she let me make the final decision. I said, well, let me start first. I didn't want him to go, but I said, you're his mom. Let me try that first. And I got the application, and I'm not going to say the school, for one of the schools, and I'm just reading the rules of what disqualifies your application. It says, if your parents are of the same sex, you are disqualified. So if you're a same-sex marriage, but you want your kid to have a Christian education at that school, you can forget that. If you become pregnant as a teen, you will be removed from school. Okay, that's great. Let's get the pregnant teen that happened to get pregnant for whatever reasons and just cast her off. That's great. And I was just looking at all these things that disqualify you, and I just balled it up and threw it in the wastebasket and sent them to the regular public school.
Interesting.
I thought that was
fine. I mean, I did, but I mean, and John, I don't agree with I don't agree with that school stance. But I mean, it is a private entity. They can make their own rules, right or wrong.
Yeah, because it is a private school. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, look, we have a religion at the university, okay, and it's called political correctness. So it's not called that, but it might as well be a religion as well.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
I think something Lisette said a while ago. I was thinking about this before she said it. Now, I'm not talking about the court system, but I just throw this statement out there, let people get a reaction to it. People have more access to religion in prison and jail than they do in public schools.
That's funny.
Thoughts, reactions? I mean,
Funny. That's so
prisons and
funny.
jails are
It's like
right.
after
Hey,
that.
wait. No. I don't mind that. You know what? When I was in high school, I didn't think I was on my last leg or my life was over. But if I'm in prison for 30 years, I might need something. I might need a little faith. It's also self-serving. If you can get every prisoner to go take up a religion and act according to that religion, you'd have a well-run, nice-behaved prison. So it's also
it's fertile grounds for recruitment of religion, and you're right. You know, people that are in prison and jail very often, they look around and say, "Look, what got me here? I mean, I need something in my life to." And you're right. Sometimes it is self-serving and it's insincere, of course, but that's on the outside too, not just in prisons and jails. So religious figures know that they literally have a captive audience, and that's why probably the most successful religion when it comes to recruiting prison inmates in the past, say 75 years or so. And John, you know what I'm about to say, is the Muslim religion.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Because these are people that feel they've been rejected by a greater society. And the Muslim imams come along and say, look, we have the answer to, these are the people that put you here. Well,
yeah,
we have an alternative for you. And it works sometimes.
Clarence brings up, and I'm going to read everybody who's commenting. We got a lot of comments. So about 10 minutes before the end, before we get into final thoughts, I'll read your comments. Lisette, just let me know when you want me to do that a little later. But Clarence brings up a good point. They shouldn't ask for government funding. That was one of those things with public schools. We get back into how are we going to control that? If you're going to have that and you're not going to cover everyone, every religion in that community, how can you receive funding? You know, that's another tricky situation.
know.
You know,
Well, you don't have to cover everything. You don't have to cover every subject. I mean, students are not taught every subject. There are some students you go through school, and there's some subjects you're never taught. I
Yeah,
never
but
had
Mark-
a physics
but
course or geology course.
yeah, but Mark, no one's going to argue, hey, you've got algebra, but you don't have calculus. But someone will argue, hey, you're teaching Christianity, Muslim, but what about this, and that?
I had the option of taking a course that was aligned with Christianity. I took it. And now that day, you're right, there was no elective in Islam, all right?
Mhm.
But I got no problem with that. I mean, and there are people that qualified to teach it. All you have to do is just you stay one chapter ahead of the students and you teach the course.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how I know that trick.
Well, a lot of people can teach. It's when the questions come that becomes the problem when you're not the subject matter expert.
Well, like Jay was talking about a while ago. That was the example a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate when that happens.
That is.
Yeah.
It's interesting because even in Christianity, Christ didn't, he didn't force anybody to serve him. He don't
Because
force
you
that.
can't.
You don't. In other words, he's not trying to force himself on you. And even you mentioned something about Adam and Eve. Even in the garden, they had a choice.
Yeah.
They chose the other. So I mean, he loves the ideal of choice. Not force, but choice. That's your choice.
Right. Oh, let me shut up. Next person. There you have a choice. Believe in me or go to hell. Woo! There are my choices.
In the sense that's just your choosing. I mean, he can only lay out what is.
That's
And
like
whatever
saying,
you choose,
"Take
that's
this piece of cake, or I can shoot you in the face. Which one do you want?"
Not quite that way,
No, I mean, I got to be silly because we get on these serious topics, and I got to bring the silliness to it. Anybody, if you
I don't
took,
think it's that silly, actually.
if anybody took offense to that, oh well, have a great day.
No, let them write in and comment. John, go to hell.
They are going to
But
have
that's the thing. But
you.
everything you said was just and right. But then that also caveats the problem of when you bring it. You see how you just said that there's nothing wrong in what you said, but then again, you're telling me if I was of a different religion that if I did this would happen to me, which circumvents or diminishes what my belief told me will happen to me, and then that's when the arguments start.
Even in that, you still got a choice.
That's not, yeah, but that's not.
But you have to acknowledge that the teacher in front of the classroom, that students do look to that teacher, whether the teacher realizes it or not. They are a leader.
True.
And they have to be careful what they say, because what they say does influence students. Not
I
all,
absolutely agree.
Imagine
they do.
Imagine that teacher that told me that I couldn't be friends with Martin because he was Hindu. Imagine if I reacted a different way, and now I became one of the people that were bullying Martin because he's a different religion than me. I'm not saying
He shouldn't have been bullied.
No, I know he shouldn't, but I'm just giving you the example of what happened. But that's the thing that I'm not trying to say that's going to happen and that's what all people in Christianity do. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying these are some of the problems that arise when you start to do that. Somebody said in the comments earlier, and I'll go back to when I read, we've already got a problem of people trying to get along for racial or gender differences, and now we're going to add something else on another layer of that.
It's unfortunate.
That's not for me. I was saying that's what one of the comments.
And I think that the person makes a good point, but it's just an unfortunate aspect of human nature that we tend to focus more on our differences and our similarities.
Yes.
And it's just that race is the easiest one because it's the most obvious. All right. Yeah. And then religion is probably second. And if it's not that, it's because oh, the person's a sissy, or because the person dresses a certain way, or the way their hair a certain way, or they act a certain way.
You
So-
like a different football team.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or you go to a different church, or it's we find ways to divide ourselves, and religion is just one of those.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's the topic of the day, everybody. So don't get mad at us. That was the topic of today.
All right,
So-
go ahead and get mad. I don't care.
I'll give you his address in the comments. Okay, pull up. Don't do that.
Just spell my name right.
You know what? But Lisette, I'm glad that we're all able to sit here and talk about it, because when some people saw that I was doing that as a subject, I got the oh Lord, here we go.
So to speak.
What's that?
So you can't get away from it. It's part of who we are. See?
Yeah, it is. And you know what? A lot of people need to lighten up. How about we bring that in schools? Why don't we teach a course on lightening up?
No, not me. I'm not going to lighten up one bit. I need to tighten up, not lighten up.
You keep doing those squats on your Instagram and it'll work out for you.
On top of that, if your pucker factor goes any higher, Mark, I think you might bust a blood vessel.
Oh God.
I'm mellow.
Hey, we have a teenager on cast. I know Catherine looks like she's 25, but she's not. Okay, she's not 25. Okay, and it looks like she's the only one that looks like she's in a mansion. Mark is a college professor. It looks like he's in a studio apartment. I got 2 master's degrees. I got all this junk behind me. Catherine's 15. It looks like she's in Beverly Hills.
This is my dog's bedroom.
Oh,
Why does your dog have its own room?
Wow.
is that what they're paying?
Big and
EC
large.
professors? Is that what they're paying?
It was a kid's room until she moved out.
Oh, okay.
That's
okay.
a guest room.
You know, I was going to say something else. You know, sometimes, for instance, they say, well,
She didn't hair
Bring-
flip today.
bring religion back to school. Sometimes, a lot of times, to solve some issues, as I was saying, in school, is to go ahead on and utilize your rights. As far as people mass shooting in school, well,
I want somebody to give
I'm doing
me
the name of religion, by the way.
I want somebody to give me a problem that religion
Mhm.
school was going to solve, because
No,
I'm not
I
saying
don't
that
agree
you
with
were
that.
using mass shootings, but
Oh, I thought you were
if
going to
everybody checks the history of shootings in school, it's been going on for like 300 years. So, what is a problem that you think religion in school is going to? The problem is nothing's going to stop all problems or solve all problems. So we can get that out of here, okay, with anything. But what's a problem that religion in school will stop? Because somebody in the comments said morals, and I'm like, well, you can teach morals without using religion.
I have a secondary question to double off of that. Mark Keone, I'm more than likely going to need you to correct me on this, but is it wrong to necessarily call them zealots if they're forcing their views onto other people and not necessarily trying to see the error of their ways?
No, I call them assholes.
I mean, that works too.
You can't force anything on anybody, and I'm not just picking on religion. That's anything.
Yeah.
Nothing should ever be forced on someone. I remember when I was asked should religion be brought to school, they actually asked us as students in one of our classes in elementary school, and I was like, I go to Sunday school, I go to afternoon service. My mama sent me to church on Tuesday. She sent me on Wednesday night, and I go on Saturday morning. I got enough right now. I came here to
Jay,
learn how to draw and color inside the friggin' lines.
Jay, I think it depends also on your definition of zealotry, or what you call enforcing your beliefs on people. I mean, I've taught courses in ethics. And when you teach a course in ethics, you cover the various philosophers and various schools of ethics and whatnot. And you also touch on some of the religious schools of ethics. All right. And yet I had people saying, because I required them to read, the Beatitudes, the 10 Commandments. I said, I don't care if you believe it or not. I said, this is what this school of ethics is. And then when they study something else, they read Immanuel Kant or Plato or Aristotle. All right. Yet people got their knickers in a twist when they had to read from the Bible and said somebody was forcing their religion on them. And it's not. So that's how far overboard we've gone.
I can give an
Mark,
example.
you did something that's not commonly done, though. You did an eloquent explanation of why they were reading a certain thing. Let's bring up Harry Potter again. Some people tell you do a book report on that and not tell you why. You explained why they was doing it. Just because a couple of idiots can't understand after your explanation, I understand they got their knickers in a bunch. We all know that some people that are programmed that once they hear certain words, they go off the rail. They hear Republican, they hear Democrat, they hear Bible, they hear Jesus. They're already going off the rails before they heard anything else that you said. So we already know that's going to happen in society.
Right. And the justification behind why I utilize the word zealot is because the education of the Crusades and everything, and nowadays hearing people say, it's my job to convert you to see Christ, but you don't understand why I worship the religion that I follow. Because personally, I'm a Shintoist. I'm a more spiritual person than just believing that there's one singular higher deity. I've had somebody tell me, well, if you don't believe in God, then you're going to hell. You're entitled to believe that, but that's not necessarily what I believe, because I've had somebody inform me off of the history of as to why African-American or Afro-Latin people believe in what they believe in, because I am Puerto Rican. My dad is a Baptist. My mom is a Christian. But I've had somebody ask me, why do you believe in a religion that was forced upon your ancestors when they were brought over here in the slave trade?
Because we see the light now.
Right. That hit home for me. And I was like, okay, this actually brings up a very valid question. He was like, you have all of these history books in school. Go read up on everything and think about what you believe in. So I cross-checked not only history with religion as well as science and figured out what I believed in. And it lined up with Shintoism. Now I'm a Shintoist.
Yeah, but Jay, here's the question: are you happy? If you're a Christian and you're happy, no one should take away your happiness. That's what you're happy in being. If you're that and you're happy, that's one thing. Yes, there are many people that, and again, everybody's heard me whole day, so you know I'm not waving the Christian pom-poms. But what I will agree with is whether you were forced into something or not, if you believe in it truthfully and it makes you happy and makes you fulfill a better moral life, go for it. That's why I don't get on anybody for having whatever religious belief they have. I only get annoyed with people if they disrespect other people's religion because of their religious beliefs. That's the only time that I'm irritated with religion. Other than that, if you're happy, Lisette's one of the most amazing people I met. She could be Christian, she could be atheist, she could darn near worship mud. I would not care because she treats people the way that I would want. She treats me the way I would want to be treated. So if you're happy, you're happy. I don't believe in forcing something on a happy person because I believe in it.
Exactly. I routinely meditate, as well as my best friend is a Muslim. We get along perfectly fine. I get along with all of you perfectly fine. I don't let my beliefs cloud my judgment.
Why are you such a jerk?
Because people decide to bring their bullshit to me and expect to not get the truth, and it pisses me off.
That wasn't very Christian of you, and that's why you're not.
Talk about my pucker factor.
No, it's just like you get the three questions from whenever you bring it to me. Do you want comfort, results, or do you want to rant?
No. How are you a grumpy old man in your 20s?
I'm not in my 20s.
Same way I was. I'm the same way now. I've been this way 50 years.
Well, you see what I deal with, Catherine?
I was just waiting on high school.
I need you to come on more. You see what I deal with, Catherine? I deal with two grumpy old pussies.
No, a grumpy young one and a grumpy old one.
I am not grumpy. It just pisses me off because if you were to come to me and bring your issues, it's just like, do you want comfort? Do you just want to rant? Or do you want results for the issues that you have? Because I can sit here and be like, oh, wow, dang, that's crazy, until I run out of breath or pass out or get tired of hearing my own voice. Or I can just sit here and be quiet and let you go off the entire time. Or I can tell you how to fix the issue.
Oh, you sound like me talking to certain employees. I'll move along.
Now that's a good point. I'm the same way, Jay, because I know what makes me happy, and my Christianity makes me happy as well as my hubby. But my ultimate happiness comes from God. It really does. And I'm just gonna. That's what makes me happy. So I'm just gonna continue to be happy. If you want to know what makes me happy, I'll tell you about it. If not, it's all good.
That's closing thoughts.
That's where I am.
It's all good and hood. Hey, we're at 8:31. Sorry, guys, we were so into the comments. I'm gonna read some of these comments and then Lisette will take it over for final thoughts. I may not get to everybody, especially if I've shown you already. So I want to get to some people who have not been heard. Neon said they offer sociology and psychology in high school. It's more difficult to understand in K through 8. Clarence said, teach your child religion at home and church. Religion was not banned from school because religion was never a part of public school, at least not at my schools. Okay, that's what he says. We have Nathan that says, school prayer is to ensure that all religions are equally represented and respected. Okay, thank you, Nathan. And then we're going to go to one that says prayer brings people together. Well, you can bring people together with anything. Being offended, Stephanie says, being offended is a choice, and we can choose not to be offended so easily. Ooh, that's a good one.
Exactly. I believe that. You can just not
Good
care.
one.
Got a couple more. Scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down, down. Ken says, oh, where did Ken's comment go? He had a good one, I think. Oh, there it is. There are way too many religions, like 10,000. Very true. Ken. That is a very true statement.
That's probably an
Valerie
undercount, by the way.
says, Earth sign logic, supremacy strikes again. I agree with Jay. Must be one of Jay's friends. And then Alita, who's been sitting in her nice little cute bubble, says, it's important to plant the seed of tolerance. We should see commonalities rather than differences. Whoa, that's a good comment to end that on. Very good comment right there. That's
Very good.
today.
This has been awesome discussion. And thanks for all your comments out there. We really appreciate them. Keep them coming. And we're going to go ahead and do some final thoughts. Who wants to jump in first with some final thoughts?
Well, I'll go ahead. Somebody else did, but
Okay.
I don't. We have not solved the problem of religion back in schools. All I'm talking to is people individually here, whether you're watching or you're our young friend in high school. Look, this is on my bookshelf. There's the Analects of Confucius. All right. Here is the Rig Veda for the Hindus out there, for your friend Martin there, John. Here's the Quran. All right. There's I can't pronounce it. There's your Buddhist text. And for our Jewish friends out there, there's a Tanakh, all right, the Tanakh Judaism, and of course the New Testament for the Christian friends. All I'm saying is, no matter what your belief is, read all of these. And the Shinto thing too, by the way, they won't hurt you to read them. Okay, it will not hurt you to be exposed to new ideas, different from the ones you've heard growing up, by the way. So, read and expand your mind.
I'll go next. A long time ago in this country that it's now known as Baghdad, it was known as the center of religion because people of different religious faiths and different religious leaders used to meet there annually and discuss ideas and collaborate. And somewhere we went awry with that. Religions, I started studying religion in my 20s. That's why people get mad when people say they're spiritual but not religious. And they all have this. It's amazing that the stories that you hear in all of them that are similar. We're reading translations of translations of translations of translations. All I can say is, hey, whatever religion you are, the golden rule is treat people how you want to be treated and try to live the best life that you can. I did a 40th birthday comedy roast about 4 years ago. I had 103 friends and family members in that room. And one of the things I said was, around this room, we have Christians, Hindu, Muslims, atheists. There were two friends of mine that were Wiccan. We have black, white, Asian, gay, straight, whatever. And all of you enjoyed yourselves for 3 hours because none of that mattered. Not one of those items mattered. But for some reason, when we leave this room, it's going to matter.
Yeah.
Catherine?
I guess I grew, like I said, I grew up in a house with two different religions, so I think it's really important, no matter what you were raised under or what your parents believe. If you're younger, I think it's really important to go out and question things and research things and look into anything that you might be curious, because you could find something that really resonates with you and makes you really happy, which, like we said, at the end of the day, that's really all that matters. And I just think as long as you're not pushing and forcing your beliefs onto other people, everybody can get along and just live their life.
That's good. And I see where Alita said knowledge sheds light on the fear of the unknown. That's awesome, Alita.
Yeah.
So, Jay?
Personally, I'd say it's information mostly. If you want to inform yourself off of what's going on around you and then go off of that, there's nothing wrong with that. However, there's nothing wrong with putting your faith into a higher calling necessarily and just letting it go from there. But it's all up to you at the end of the day, what you decide to do. However, sometimes learning about it in books is good, but it's what you do with that knowledge that will make or break you at the end of the day as well.
Yep.
Oh,
Yes.
Leah.
Real good. Leah?
I think she's gone. I thought she popped back up in, but she's
You
having.
did.
You can take us home, Lisette.
All right. I just want Leah, are you there now? Can you hear me? Leah.
No, go ahead. Let her sit there and
All
look
right.
cute. You just go.
Well, I just want to say that, I really appreciate this discussion tonight, because I personally believe that instead of trying to incorporate people to come in your, to do things that maybe your religion requires, you do it. You do it and be faithful to you and to your God, as I would be faithful to mine. And a lot of times parents can do some things at home that they want everybody else to do. You do it with your children. Make sure you pray for your children when they go out to school, and not just your children, pray for everybody's children. They don't have to be in on the conversation, because religion is a personal thing, it's a personal thing. That's what I'm trying to say. So be personal with it. And if someone wants you to share it with them, share it with them. So that's all I have to say about that. I hope you had a great show. We love you. We love everybody. And peace out.
Oh, that was great. Hey, don't pray for me. Just send me money on my Cash App.